So this is episode 6 of my pastor series, and for once it's not going to be very long. I just made episode 5 and it's about, is hell evil? Is God evil? I answered those questions in 2 parts. And while I think I did a good job of explaining how evil humans can be, and that most people don't even notice that they're evil, but they don't even notice that. I think I did a great job explaining it, but to explain hell in its entirety, to understand hell, you have to understand God. Why He allows evil to exist, why He allows suffering to exist. So this is what this episode 6 will be about. Unfortunately, it's not gonna take too long. So if you want to get a full perspective, then watch the other videos that will let you know how you yourself are evil, so you can understand hell and why basically everyone deserves it if they don't believe in God. And then watch this one, which is about why God allows suffering and why God allows evil. So let's start. Number 1 reason is the world is not the goal. So the world is not the goal, but here's what we have to understand. We need the world to deserve heaven, because without free will existing, we're just robots. We can't even understand emotions themselves, because we never go through suffering. We never understand negative emotions. We're just born into an incredible environment. So without free will, we can't truly have happiness. But obviously, free will has consequences because of humans' capacity for evil. But it allows us to understand in our own unique way that we need God. And in that way, we can share our story, which is a testimony, and we can save other lives. And in that way, true love is built. Because there is no greater love than saving a life. And we can all do that. Dying in a war only saves people temporarily. And unfortunately, most wars are political and completely unnecessary. So saving a life spiritually is way more honorable than dying for someone in this world. Because at its core, we're just defending ourselves from other humans who are evil. Which proves our point. We need God. We can't save ourselves because we're not a God, but unfortunately, it takes most reaching rock bottom to truly understand that. So that's how most people meet God. Heck, I was born in a religious family and I was lost for 28 years. I was an atheist and I found God through the pain and confusion. So it wasn't even my family because they couldn't even explain it themselves. And yet they've been Christians their whole life. So they're confused themselves. So number 2, without understanding suffering, there is no real empathy. So there is no real love. So we need suffering to truly understand love because it's a contrast. Just like yellow can't exist if red doesn't exist. We can't differentiate what yellow is if red doesn't exist. Does that make sense? In the same way, we can't know what true happiness is if we don't understand reaching rock bottom and suffering. True joy comes because we went through all of that pain. Celebration is way bigger than just us always having happiness and being entitled and being like, oh, we don't even appreciate it, essentially. It's like being the son of a rich kid and you can't even understand the poor people, right? And you just see them as below. So it doesn't make sense. You need things to contrast each other. That's how humanity works. That's how emotions work. So just to clarify the difference, number 1 is we need suffering for stories to exist so we can save lives. Number 2 is we need suffering because without suffering, emotions don't exist. And we can't truly understand happiness. Number 3, God allows suffering because we allow suffering. Because we're all selfish. And yes, this includes you. Trust me, we've all been selfish. We've all been evil, yet we just don't realize it. I explained that in my other videos. The point is, we don't deserve heaven if every day we ignore suffering. Instead, we choose to just focus on ourselves and our own happiness. So we all delay the world's salvation. And God is so merciful that He delays the second coming of Jesus to give us all a chance to finally figure it out. But unfortunately, we suck. So for now, salvation is mostly individual because clearly collectively, we're all so selfish. So number 3 is God allows suffering because in actuality it's mercy. Otherwise, we would all already be in hell because we're allowing the suffering. So we're also evil, if that makes sense. So because other people's suffering is actually our fault, then God is actually showing us mercy. Because if God decides to end the world right now, trust me, 99.9% will go to hell. Trust me. If you watch the video, you'll understand. Number 4, many of the reasons we suffer as a society, as humans, is the consequence of sin due to things like the food industry and health industry. These industries serve money. They idolize money instead of God, which is considered in the Bible mammon. For example, in many parts of the world, the health industry will let people die because they don't have the money for surgery. So money to them is more important than a life. Just like many people need healthcare to even be able to afford going to a hospital. And as for the food industry, they poison our bodies for money because they care more about money than our health, than humans. So if you understand what I'm saying, suffering is a consequence of humans choosing money over God. Through knowing God, humans would use the money properly and no one would starve. Because knowing God is love. So once you know God truly, all you want to do is love. So no one would starve. So number 4 is suffering is a consequence of sin because people idolize money. They care more about money than they care about other humans and love and justice. Number 5, Lucifer was an angel, but he disobeyed God, so he was sent to earth as the devil. Going to heaven does not guarantee that you'll be a good person over there, just like Lucifer. In other words, going to heaven does not guarantee your morality. Therefore, you truly must understand what is being holy. And what better place to understand that than on earth as a human, victim to other humans. God will never force you to be something you don't want to be, but what he wants you to be is truly loving. If you don't want to be truly loving, then you're selfish and you're part of the problem. So you either learn here on earth or the same result will happen as Lucifer. You'll go to heaven and then you'll get kicked down. So earth is a place to learn because heaven is a place for peace and joy. Therefore, we don't want to have you over there ruining the peace because you're ignorant and selfish. Heaven doesn't erase your identity. You go to heaven based on your identity here because earth is the challenge. God won't let heaven be tainted by your ignorance, just like earth is. So you either learn here what true love is or is redundant because you'll get kicked out of heaven anyway. Number 6, suffering is an illusion. We can feel pain. Yes, pain is terrible. But belonging to earth is not the goal. Going to heaven is. So if you understand that, you can tolerate way more whatever suffering you get here. All you have to do is accept God, be truly loving, and you'll go to heaven. So your suffering here doesn't actually truly matter if you think about it. But it's necessary. If God told you, I'll give you $1 million if you endure this suffering, would you do it? Yeah, you would. Let's be honest. It's the same thing as heaven, except heaven is way better than $1 million. Number 7, the solution to the world's greatest culprits of suffering, such as cancer, already exist. But greedy humans are hiding the cure for money because they want to profit off your suffering. Why do I know this? Because humans profit off of war. They've been profiting off of war our entire lives, in centuries, generations. But God can cure cancer and he can save one person's life to help save others. Uses one person's pain to save other lives. So yes, earth sucks because humans profit off of not giving the cure. But God has the real cure. So I am with this. Who would you rather trust? The human that will let you die unless you offer the money they need? Or the God that only asks for humility, faith, and love? Evil doesn't exist because of God. Evil exists because of free will. Evil exists because humans don't know what true love is. Because they're not God. They don't understand his love, only a worldly definition. And a worldly definition of love will go to hell. God loves you, humans don't unless you offer them something. So God's reward or the world's reward? That's for you to decide.